Hello, Barendipitous here with another video for, well actually this video is going to be in a couple of playlists. This is going to be a video for the board game shelf and for the TTRPG shelf and for the TCG shelf. For all of them, basically. Um, I wanted to show off a bunch of game-related loot that I got at the when I attended the American Library Association conference in San Diego in the end of June, beginning of July of this year. I got a lot more like stuff from there, but it was mostly like books. And also, a lot of the books have been like organized already in our bookshelf. But I just wanted to sort of like mention that as far as like free books go, I got so many. I imagine like kind of like a smaller, like maybe normal sized carry-on suitcase. We filled up an entire suitcase full of books. My wife and I actually brought an empty suitcase for the express purpose of carrying extra books, and there was still some left over. We had to put some books in our backpacks and stuff to carry all of it. I got so many books, so many graphic novels and books and all that kind of stuff. And I expected that. I expected that I would get a lot of books at the ALA exhibition hall, but I did not expect to get some game related things because gaming librarians are a thing, and yeah. So these are all the game related things, and also a few pins as well. So I wanted to sort of like show all of these things off. Most of this stuff were given away for free. I did purchase a few of them, and I'll mention that in a little bit. So I'll kind of go one type of game at a time. For those of you who are watching this in the TCG for the trading card game stuff, I'll start with that because that's the quickest. One of the many game publishers that were there at the American Library Association at the ALA conference was Wizards of the Coast, and so naturally they had, and there was a game night early on in the conference where you could like try out a bunch of games from different game publishers. And Wizards of the Coast not only had Dungeons and Dragons stuff, but they also had Magic the Gathering stuff. And this is a Horizons 3. This is a Horizons 3 pre-release box. They just had a bunch of these, and we could just grab one of them and make decks and play against people. So I did just that. I grabbed a box. They just had a bunch of them for free. They also had a lot of lands as well, and just kind of went to town really. So yeah, these are all the cards that I got. There were a bunch of booster packs in there, of course. This is the first time that I've opened a pre-release box. I've never been to like a pre-release night or anything. This is just kind of filler, just to kind of take up space. But there were a bunch of like punch-out tokens for this Modern Horizons thing. So that's what a lot of this is. They're kind of like these placeholder tokens that you punched out. I think that might be more of a card divider or something. And yeah, just a bunch of these tokens with a bunch of different symbols on them, like +1/+1 and everything. There was a little instruction booklet of like a little instruction pamphlet on how like building a pre-release deck, like how many creatures, how many other spells, and how many lands you should have, and the mana curve and everything like that. But yeah, there's that's a fun piece of art right there. Complete your journey to scenic bloodstained mire. I'm not very well versed in Magic the Gathering lore, but I'm aware that complete has to do with like all those oh gosh, I forgot, but like there's like all these like biological machine type things that want to like assimilate everyone and everything. But yeah, so these are like all the like sort of like tokens and stuff that I got. There's like Modern Horizons 3 art series. This is the art card that I got. My understanding is that Modern Horizons 3 seemed to be sort of like a collection of like cards related to a bunch of like the big bad like eldritch horrors of Magic the Gathering. I could be wrong, but there's that. Energy tokens seem to be a big thing in this set. So there's a energy reserve where you could put energy tokens on. Eldrazi Spawn, Magic the Gathering Arena, play on mobile. There's these cards for double-sided cards. So you can kind of like write down the two different the each side of the cards, so that so you can have these in your deck and have them represent certain double-sided cards there. And then, yeah, I also have this, a servo token as well. Oop. And then there was also a wrapped promo card. This was the promo card I got. Thelia Exuberant Shepherd. Fun little card there. And yeah, these were all of the cards that I got from I think there were about 5 booster packs or something. But yeah, the deck I ended up making was just a red-blue deck. I didn't have any strong strategy. It was just kind of like I just chose 2 colors that I liked and just kind of mashed them all together. And I played a few games with other librarians who were into Magic the Gathering there. And obviously I got a bunch of lands and got to keep them, a bunch of islands and mountains. But yeah, I actually won both of my games. I'm not like an expert in Magic by any means, but I know a lot of the basics essentially. And so I was playing with people around my skill level as well. So there were some of these cards seem to be a bit more complex. Kind of like I said, using energy tokens, having a lot of things going on. I really like this one. When this dies, so it's a 0/1, 4 mana. When Reform dies, create a 3/3 blue fish creature token with an ability that says, and then when that dies, I replace it with a 6/6 blue whale creature token, and when that dies, you create a 9/9 blue kraken creature token. So that was just like, anyway, I thought that was cool. I like that a lot. Detectives Phoenix, really beautiful card. Love that. Some of these like sort of like full full art cards are really pretty. This mountain one is really nice. It's got one of those big bad eldritch beings in the back there. But yeah, people who know about Magic the Gathering more than I do, you can of course sort of like see the titles of these cards, and I don't know if I got anything particularly special, but I don't really care. Oh, there's another full art planes, once again with some kind of monstrosity back there. I know they have like specific names, but I don't know the lore well enough to really know for sure. Oh, this is a double-sided card right here. So yeah, I did not notice that. That's a double-sided card that I could have used if I wanted to, but I decided to focus on red-blue, and that seemed to work well for me. So. But yeah, you can see some of them are foil. But yeah, I just like, free Magic the Gathering cards, and I got to actually play with some of them, which was a lot of fun. Oh yeah, kind of nearing the end here with these white cards, and there you go. Oh yeah, with the Cat Warrior token as well. So yeah, so those are the cards that I got from this pre-release set, essentially. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with them, and I'm glad to have them. I don't know how much I'll be used. I mean, I don't play Magic the Gathering much anyway, but might as well. But I'm glad to have them in my trading card game collection now. And there you go. And also, again, I got more red and blue lands. I've got more mountains and islands as well, and of course it came with a 20-sided dice as well to track life points and stuff like that, and it came in a nice little box just like this. So there you go. That's the trading card game part. Now moving on to the board game part. So this is actually a game that I'm not going to be keeping. This is so at that game night where there was like there's Wizards of the Coast. There was people from Paizo with Pathfinder, Cobalt Press, and Green Ronin Press, and a bunch of like big like TTRPG and board game publishers and stuff. The main sponsor was Cards Against Humanity, and they had this message here. Dear librarians, hey, it's us. Cards Against Humanity. Thanks for the countless things you do to make your communities better and brighter. It's an honor to support your incredible work. Enjoy this free copy of Head Trip, our brand new party game If you have fun playing, we hope you do. Visit this website, Cards Against Humanity loveslibraries.com, and get a free copy for your library too. Love Cards Against Humanity. So they just had like probably about 100 of these or whatever, and they were just giving them away. Anyone who came by their booth at that game night, you just grab one, and that's it. It was all wrapped up and it had this message on it. And so I'm like, wow, free board. So as you may or may not have suspected, Cards Against Humanity, for most of their games, they're not really my style of humor. I don't really go for that kind of adult style humor. I find a lot of that humor to be rather crass and crude, personally. But I acknowledge that's a personal taste. Okay, they are popular for a reason. So it's just kind of not my thing. I prefer lots of other games, but I can appreciate why they're popular and everything. But I do also really appreciate the people who made the people behind Cards Against Humanity were actually there at the ALA conference, and one of them kind of got to say a few words about why they're supporting librarians, and they care a lot about supporting the ideal, fighting back against book censorship and stuff, and just supporting libraries in general. The game, especially since libraries, public libraries, school libraries, university libraries, more and more have been incorporating games of all kinds, board games, video games, tabletop role-playing games, and all that kind of stuff into their actual bookshelves, and you can check them out, you can use them, or whatever. So gaming librarians are becoming more and more of a thing. And so to kind of show their support, they're also providing financial support for several gaming library related grants and things like that, several $1,000s over the course of the next 5 years, which is really cool. I think $5,000 over the next across the next 5 years, $1,000 each year. And yeah, they're just kind of giving away this free game. Like I said, I am not going to be keeping this. I have a friend who is also into board games, and I'm going to be giving this to him. He's happy to take this off my hands. But just to kind of show you, so this is a party game where essentially you kind of take turns taking on a role, and there's all these different kinds of roles here. For example, you are Abraham Lincoln. Right? Or you're at a party with the coolest people and you just want to fit in. There's a sort of there's a personality that you kind of have to act as, essentially. And then there are these multiple choice questions. You have to answer that question with that role in mind. Describe your anyway. That is from what I understand, this is a relatively tame question compared to the rest of the game. But yeah, so there's a bunch of these tokens where everyone else has to sort of try to guess which answer you're going to be choosing, right? And so they kind of put wager chips on each of these spaces. I think so. You have that role and you have this question. I think you're gonna answer this, and you kind of put your chip there, and you have these wager chips of different colors that you use. So. Anyway, obviously pretty good production value, and I'm sure it's a fun game for those who have that kind of humor, but there you go. This is not getting its own video because this is not going to be staying in my collection. But there you go. Head Trip. Apparently it's it's their newest game. I don't think it's new. I think it was released late last year, late 2023 or something. But anyway, I thought that was cool. I can definitely appreciate what Cards Against Humanity was doing, supporting librarians and stuff like that. As a librarian myself, obviously, I can certainly get behind that. Okay, so before I get into the TTRPG stuff, I wanted to briefly kind of go over some of these pins that I got. Some booths in the exhibition hall at the conference were selling pins, but these are the ones I got for free. So I got this pin. This is Dark Horse Comics, a pretty large and prominent graphic novel publisher. This is another comic publisher, Storm King Comics. I just kind of was able to grab that pin. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty excited about this one. So this is a pin of the Chicago Manual of Style. A lot of you might not know what that is, but that's essentially it's essentially sort of the grammar book for to help standardize grammar rules for lots of institutions. Do I have my? Let's see. Oh yes, I do. Okay. So I've been. So I have a bit of a copy editing background, and this is my 16th edition Chicago Manual of Style that I've used while I was in school and in my first job. There's of course a digital version as well, but this basically a lot of institutions and corporations use Chicago Manual of Style to sort of standardize their grammar rules essentially, because there's lots of things about English grammar that are and syntax and whatever that like if you're not careful, like you can like end up using like grammar is not as exact a science as you might believe. So it's just kind of, you can look up in this reference book. So like if you're not sure exactly how to capitalize something in a title, you go in the Chicago Manual of Style and figure out what figure out what your institution is going to be doing. So I just really like this little pin here. So currently the Chicago Manual of Style is in its 18th edition. So it changes editions it updates editions every few years, and stuff like that. But I like this little pin. This is nice. I like it a lot. Let's see. Oh yeah, we have a button for Libby. So if you've heard of Overdrive or Libby, my wife really loves Libby. This is like where a lot of libraries subscribe to Libby or Overdrive for a lot of audiobooks and stuff. Like if you use a library in America, and you check out an audiobook from them, like a digital audiobook, chances are it was provided by Libby. And so I thought this was a cute little button for that. I like this one. This is called I'm with the Band. Band as in banned books, meaning that you support the books that are banned. You not supporting banning books, obviously, but like kind of because usually books that are like when people try to ban books, it's usually anyway. There's lots of conversation in America right now about book censorship and things like that, and there's a lot that I certainly disagree with. I'm certainly more on the side of librarians in terms of a lot of the censorship issues. So this is kind of more in support of, if you've heard of like Banned Book Week or something, like, hey, people have tried to ban Catcher in the Rye or The Color Purple or all kinds of things. So these are some books that have been banned and here and there, and so kind of raising awareness for censorship. And so this is kind of like, I'm in support of not in support of banning books, but in support of the books that are banned. Like I want to like showing why the books probably should not be banned, essentially. And this I did not get from ALA. My wife went to the Comic-Con Museum in San Diego, and this is a fun little Comic-Con Museum pin that she got, and so I'm very happy to add that to our pin collection here at home. Okay, this video is already 18 minutes long. Let me try to quickly go through the TTRPG section here. So I'll first start with the stuff that I got for free. So Kobold Publishing gave me, so I visited their booth and they gave me this book for free, The Kobold Guide to Role Playing. They also had their Dungeon Master book as well, but they weren't able to give that away. But yeah, this kind of like, to help you kind of be a better role-playing player, essentially. There's a bunch of articles from lots of people. I recognize some of these names, like Ginny D, and let's see, Luke Gygax, is a lot of B. Dave Walters, a lot of people who are very much involved in the tabletop role-playing game space online and throughout history and things like that. So that's pretty cool. Pretty happy to have that. Like I said, Wizards of the Coast had a booth as well, and so they had a bunch of stuff for like they especially have they have these little booklets that kind of give you a taste on how you can sort of run Dungeons and Dragons programs in your school or public library. So Storytelling with the Bard, this is a little adventure for grades 3 through 5. So it's more like for, let's see, 3 plus 9 is, what is that? Yeah, so like 12 to 4, no, hold on. No, it's 3 plus 7. So it's like 10 to 12-year-olds, essentially. I thought that was kind of fun. And then they also had this free little introductory adventure, Peril in Pine Brook. So you can run this free introductory adventure as well. And they have other things that they're willing to give to libraries and stuff if you want to make a Dungeons and Dragons club, essentially. There's also a little brochure that kind of explains more about that. So Vecna Eve of Ruin, this is one of the newest D&D books. So this is essentially a high-level adventure. Levels 10 to 20, which is unusual. Usually published books take you from like level 1 to level 3 to level 10 or level 15 or something. This is essentially an adventure that focuses on Vecna and how you're trying to stop Vecna from like taking over the multiverse or something. There's a librarian gaming roundtable, and I visited their booth several times, went to lots of their activities, including the game night, and I entered a drawing for a giveaway. They had lots of games kind of set off to the side that you could play in their booth but not take with you. But they did draw a bunch of names, including mine, to like just grab something on their shelf. And so I was looking around, and there were some really cool board games and tabletop role-playing games and stuff. I decided to grab this because, number one, it's not too heavy and bulky, because there were definitely some things I was interested in that were probably a bit too bulky for my suitcase. But also, this is, like, I was considering buying this anyway at some point. I'm like, hey, this... I can get the most bang for my buck by getting this adventure. So now I've added this to my collection of D&D books. So I haven't purchased a D&D book an official D&D book for a while. I've kind of been collecting, doing more like purchasing more board game and wargaming kind of things more recently, especially since I have so many D&D books anyway. So those are the things I got for free. And I made a few purchases. So the Indie Press Revolution publisher had a booth as well, and they have all kinds of wacky and crazy and cool like little indie TTRPGs. So I purchased 2 of them. These 2 combined were about $50 total. But of course, I had to get this. This is a solo role-playing game called The Librarian's Apprentice. And so I really love the production value of this. So there's like a little library card here. You can put your name on it and stuff. I like that a lot. So essentially, the idea is that you are an apprentice librarian in like the library of everything, essentially. And there's these lovely little there's these bookmarks. So these bookmarks are essentially character sheets, and these brochures tell you the rules and have a bunch of random rolling tables that tell you what you encounter or like what your quests are in the library. Like there's patrons, there's like dangers, there's like artifacts and rooms and things like that. It's like this infinite library, and you can see it's built to look like materials you would find in an old library. I have not played this game myself, but I would like to at some point. I am intrigued by solo TTRPGs, but I figured, I needed to have this in my TTRPG collection, obviously. So a solo journaling game in an infinite library. So generally you would play this by yourself and kind of like record your adventure, either writing it down or, maybe recording with audio or things like that. And then this is a game called Dialect. Essentially, this is a game about language and how it dies. So, I don't fully understand the rules quite yet, but my understanding is that in this game, you and a group of people come together to kind of create a community, whether like in a fantasy or a sci-fi or post-apocalyptic or a realistic world, and you kind of create a small niche isolated community. And you use these cards you use the cards and other game mechanics to kind of build a language together, essentially, and you explore how that language develops, how your group communicates with each other, and things like that. And you explore whether or not the language continues to live on, essentially. Because now I have some educational background in linguistics, and I am very well aware of the fact that in many parts of the world, from America to Europe to Africa to Asia, everywhere in the world, there are little pockets of civilization that have their own language, their own not just dialects, but their own full languages. And there are lots of languages that are considered dying languages because there's like maybe only a few thousand or a few hundred people left in the world who speak this particular niche language. And so, like, lots of linguists out there are trying to preserve as many of these languages as possible, right? So this game is very much about that. And there's stuff about linguistics. There's stuff about, like, working together as a group, as a small society, and things like that. Beautiful art, a lovely concept. So these are two games that I really wanted to add to my TTRPG collection. So yeah, these are all the things, or at least the game-related things that the game-related loot, I should say, from my first visit to the American Library Association conference. And I had a lot of fun there. It was great. It was a great experience going to that conference. And I don't know if I'll be going next year or not, but maybe every so often I will. But yeah, like I said, I got so many books. I got like the books. If I brought all the books here, it would just like fill this entire space and just like stacks upon stacks of books. Because this YouTube channel is more focused on my gaming library, I wanted to focus on just the game things that I got from there. Well, yeah, I will say one cool book related thing that I got, my wife and I were excited about, was there was this thing called Manga Classics where people had published basically manga, like classic manga, like, read from the quote unquote from right to left, from the back of the book onwards, from the American perspective. And it is in English, but basically imagine like works of Shakespeare, like Hamlet or Macbeth or Romeo and Juliet, or like Jane Austen, like Pride and Prejudice, or Emma, or like Edgar Allan Poe, or all these kinds of like classic literature things in a manga format. Like using the original like text and stuff. And my wife and I thought it was really cool, and they had a really great deal of like 3 books for $20. So naturally I spent $40. Actually, I think I spent $50 and got 7 books. So anyway, yeah, really cool. There you go. Thank you very much for checking out this video, this longer video, because I'm kind of like, this video is going on several different playlists, whatever. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, all the best.